Hey, you, listen. Welcome to another episode of Undisputed Nerds. I am one of your hosts, Zane Taicho. I nearly said Senpai Zane. How weird is that?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's bringing back some bad memories. Oh, no.
Welcome to the podcast where we talk about comics, TV shows, and movies and stuff. As always, I'm joined by the fantastic Gentlemanly Gamer.
Hello,
are you,
everyone
good sir?
in Radio Land. Good evening. Yes, I'm all right, Zane. Thank you. We've been over that before. We had a little preamble. We've been over it. Yeah, it's been a busy week. Oh man, you're bringing back the memories with the Senpai. Yeah, he's gone. Senpai Zane is dead and gone.
He's what's the word I'm looking for? What does Doctor Who do? He regenerates
into the captain.
There you go.
That's a new intro for you. Hey, you. Where's that come from?
I don't know why I had Zelda in my head. Like, hey, you, listen.
Are you going to have to give the grandma like 20 of those like ruby things? What is it that you got? I always hated that because it's always like she wants 20 of them exactly. And then she's wearing one. And I'm like, it should be 19, love. Look at you. What's going on with you? But yes, have you had a good week, Mr. Taicho? I nearly called you Senpai as well, though.
It's too like I don't know. We've got to stop it. It's been a good week.
Yes, it's been a good week for you. Good, I'm glad.
Good week. Yeah, got some new mangas. Read some comics. Yeah.
Go ahead. Go on. Plug it. Go on.
I do another podcast called Undisputed Anime, where we like to talk about anime and manga. So check it out.
His sister show, Undisputed Anime.
Cousin show.
But what do we? No, it's Taicho, mate. Taicho, not cousin. Right. So what are we doing this week, Zane? We're going to be doing the old Marvel tier listing. We're doing phase 1, aren't we? We've been building up to this for a while.
Right back to where it started.
Yes, before Joss Whedon was a monster. We're going right back. We're going right back. But before we do that, guys, we're going to be kicking off doing our tips and bits. But as we know, it's become the regularly recurring segment of this show now. It's time to have this week's What's All the Rage with Nicolas Cage.
I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. Here they are, standing in a row. All one big one, some as big as your head.
What the hell was that
from? National Treasure.
I thought you were going to do the Bad Lieutenant one. I was prepared for it, and then you hit me with the coconuts. Oh, that's remarkable. Well, there we go, guys. So, are you ready for this one, Zane? Because this week's Nicolas Cage news is an absolute humdinger.
Oh,
all right. Are you ready?
Yes.
I'm going to read you the headline. This is from a news. This is from a genuine news, Sky News website.
Oh.
Romance fraudster posing as Nicolas Cage scammed vulnerable women out of thousands of pounds.
No.
Online daters have been warned about the dangers of fake celebrity profiles after a woman was duped out of thousands of pounds by a romance fraudster posing as Hollywood star Nicolas Cage.
What?
The woman believed she was exchanging messages with the Oscar-winning actor on Facebook and lost about £10,000 in the scam.
No.
Reports of romance fraud have soared during the pandemic, but a senior detective told Sky News they were the tip of the iceberg, as many victims are too embarrassed to come forward.
Oh
so, Zane, obviously, now look, it goes without saying that, like, if you're a victim of fraud or you have any problems and you're a victim of any crime in particular, obviously, let somebody know, report it. You have our sympathies, and we hope you get through it and get your money back. I will say this: if you're going to be seduced by any man on the internet, then surely Hollywood star Nicolas Cage is going to be the one to do it. I mean, do you think his best chat line is not the bees?
It's either that or the honey line,
Killing me won't bring back your goddamn honey. I like it when he's in that movie and he just goes, "Don't move me! Don't move me!" Ah!
You're all guilty.
So yes, there you go. Yeah, so be on the alert, guys. If you are online and you're looking for love online, Nicolas Cage is married and he's got a kid on the way. So you know, maybe think twice before you send him lots of money, because he is a movie star. I'm pretty sure he can afford it. So there you go.
Did you ever watch Catfish?
The show?
Yeah.
Yes, one or two episodes. I didn't really, you know. I'm normally the one who gets catfished, so.
I remember an episode where someone believed they were in contact with Bow Wow.
Okay. What was the outcome?
It wasn't Bow Wow.
Okay. Somehow I guessed that. Somehow I was getting that. I don't
Spoiler.
know why. Yeah, I did somehow at the end. Yes, I did think it might not be Bow Wow at the end of it. So yes, interesting. I'm still recovering from that coconuts thing.
Do you want it one more time?
Yeah, do it one more time.
I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. Here they are, standing in a row. Small ones, big ones, some as big as your head.
Is that when he tries to wait? Is that when he's in like the he's in like some kind of ballroom or something, and he's pretending to be English?
He's at like a British museum because the whole reason he puts on an accent is because all the security guards are British.
That's it. I remember that now. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. That is the Oscar award-winning Nicolas Cage singing "I've Got a Lovely Bunch of Coconuts" in an English accent.
In a Disney movie.
In a Disney movie. Yes. There you go. All right. Let's get into some tips and bits then, Zane. So Zane, where do you want to start this week? We've got Star Wars, DC, Marvel, and other.
Oh.
So where do you want to start?
I'm going to leave other for last because that'd be a nice mystery tour. So let's start with Star Wars.
Star Wars. All right. So the book of Boba Fett, Zane, is ongoing. It is ongoing as we speak. We've reviewed the first episode. You can find it in our playlists on YouTube or on the podcasting if you have not listened to it already. Go and get our opinions on that. We'll do a run through of the season when it's finished. So Simon Pegg, world-renowned Star Wars fan. He's actually been in The Force Awakens as Ugnar Plop, or whatever his name is. And in the Clone Wars and in Star Wars Battlefront, actually, Simon Pegg has voiced the bounty hunter called Dengar. If you are not aware of who Dengar is, he's the one he's got loads of body armor on, and he kind of wears bandages on his head. He's got like bandages wrapped around his head and stuff. I will send you the link to this story so that you can show it for those of you who are watching on the podcast medium. He has thrown the speculation in that some people were saying, are you going to be playing Dengar in the live action version? This was Simon Pegg's comments. Not in this season, but you just never know. I've put many things out there into the universe in the past, and they've oddly come back to me. I occasionally throw out these little cultural boomerangs, and we'll see. I did the laugh at the end there because he actually does say laughs. That's Dengar on the left. Yeah, on the left. Yeah, that's Simon Pegg on the right. So there may be speculation run rampant that in the second season we'll actually see some of old Boba Fett's bounty hunting colleagues coming after him. And Simon Pegg might be playing Dengar. What are your thoughts, Zane? Would you be excited to see a bounty hunter war in Boba Fett 2? And thoughts on Simon Pegg coming in as Dengar?
Bounty hunter war sounds really cool. I like the sound of that. Like, it's supposed to, at the moment, they're giving off the sort of Godfather sort of vibes about the series, aren't they? So it's, you know, everyone's kind of like, oh, territory, oh, money, like, who's got the spice?
Who's got the spice?
Who's got the spice?
Yeah. Turns out it's just oregano. Who would have thought?
But yeah,
why
not?
Yeah, I should have said paprika. I'm a fool. I should have said paprika. Apologies, listeners.
Yeah, but
So
I
you'd
think
like to, yeah, I've talked over you. You'd like to see Simon Pegg as Dengar then?
yeah, why not? Like, it's another cool sort of Easter egg, isn't it? We all
think
love
so.
a good Easter egg.
I think so. I think it was sad that he got to be in Star Wars but not actually see his face, because you never see his face in Force Awakens, and he is a mega star, a mega fan for Star Wars. He's a mega star, but yeah, no, it's interesting. It's interesting. I would very much like to see bounty hunt. That's what we all want, isn't it? Like a get your horns ready. We all want an all out bounty hunter fight. That's what we want. But yeah. Anyway, interesting.
It's in
Interesting.
Bosco. Isn't that one of the bounty hunters? Bosk.
The lizard,
Bosk.
yes, who
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
wear
yeah.
shoes.
Just those like lizard feet hanging over the edge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
little lizard toes. His little spiky lizard claws just hanging on for dear life. Yeah, there's loads of cool. I mean, obviously, IG-88 as well is, you know, we saw.
Yeah.
I didn't know we saw a version of him in Mandalorian. I'm not sure if we saw actually IG-88 or whether we saw a different IG unit, but you know, he's probably one of the most famous bounty hunters. The weird pipe robots that can just murder incessantly. Also, Mara. I mean, whether they might do Mara Jade this way as well. Because hello, Mara Jade was also a I think, I mean, she was a hand of the Emperor, but I'm not sure if she went into bounty hunting after the Emperor was dead. But that could be a way of introducing her as well, potentially.
Yeah.
You know, they're mixing up all these origins. But yes, anyway, interesting. We will cover Boba Fett when he's finished. Boba Fett, as Zane likes to call him, when he's finished. But no, it's I'd like to see Simon Pegg live action. Let's do some Marvel news. This one, okay. So, Chloe Zhao, who directed The Eternals,
yes,
which we were not a fan of on this podcast. No offense to Chloe Zhao, because she's a fantastic director, but The Eternals was just personally not great. She has gone on record as saying, it's basically via MCU Direct. This was an interview.
okay.
And she has said that regarding the post-credit scene,
Oh boy,
with Dane Whitman.
Okay.
Old Kit Harington. Yeah, that's all right. Don't worry. The Dane
that one's
one.
the cool one.
Not
Yeah.
the Harry Styles one. I'll just read the quote. So this is what she said. This is in regards to basically the exchange on MCU Direct and talking about the Blu-ray commentary and stuff like that. So this is in regards directly to seeing that scene at the end of the film. Chloe Zhao says, "Ebony Blade. Who would have thought? I definitely geek out quite a bit, especially when that voice comes in at the end." And then the person who she's with on this commentary says, "It's just a really cool post-credit scene. It's simple, but it sets up so much." So I will say it was a very cool post-credit scene. Yes. Yeah. And it was nice to see the Ebony Blade, and it was good to know that Kit Harington's going to have more to do than just look handsome. But I don't really feel like I'm not sure. Yes, it seemingly sets up a lot for the MCU, knowing who that voice is.
Yeah.
But on the front end of it, there's been a lot of post-credit scenes that have done a lot more.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of like, does it really set up that much? Really? What are your thoughts on this, Zane, and also on the post-credit scene in general?
I love that post-credit scene because it's a cool sort of little scene, really. Like, you know, for him to have the Ebony Blade, we got to see how it reacts to his touch and everything else, which sounds weird, but you know, it's all mystic arts and such. Yeah. And then obviously the blade element, as in Blade the hero.
Yes, not the blade itself.
Not the blade itself, not the prop. But it brings, I guess, he does bring in a whole new element. One thing I didn't realize until literally, I think today, is that there's a comic series where they're in a team together. I think it's called
really?
M13 or something.
So this is why we need Drac on. Drac would be able to tell us instantly.
Yeah,
like, it was in this bit, and this is what happened.
Such a historian on these things.
He is the bold historian. That's what I call him. I think I call him historian. It might be something else rude, but you know.
But apparently they've been on teams together, So I just kind of wondered. I also had a thought.
I figured
Yeah,
they'd be
go
on
ahead.
like a Dark Defenders team or something like that. I
Yeah.
assumed there would be that kind of crossover, probably from the 70s when Blade still had an afro.
Yeah. But I also kind of wondered, would they do the whole buddy cop act again? Like, would they do
Oh
a
my god, that would be amazing.
Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Winter
Soldier.
Winter
Like-
Soldier.
Yeah.
That's your East London coming out, mate.
I know. I got
Winter
BA.
Soldier. What? That would be amazing. I would love to see a Blade Black Knight team up, like a buddy cop movie. That would be amazing.
Blade the straight man and Kit Harington the kooky guy.
Yeah, and then it's like it's what's that? Get Hard, the Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg.
Why that?
I don't know. It was the only buddy cop movie that came to
like
mind.
Lethal Weapon or something.
Yeah, let's go with that. Lethal Weapon. That's a better comparison. Sorry. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, that's what I meant. Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, Lethal
We'll
Weapon.
edit that. Let's edit that.
Yeah. What's that? Bad Boys? Yeah, Bad Boys.
For life. Die Hard with a Vengeance, you say? Yeah, that's totally what I said. All right, so moving on to the next article. I am going to put a very, 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 very heavy spoiler warning, guys, for Spider-Man No Way Home and also for Hawkeye. If you have not seen these shows or films, stop listening now or skip if Zane's put a time code in. I'm not sure if he's done it or not.
I am just making a note right now.
What an absolute legend. So, as a result of the reveal of Charlie Cox being in Spider-Man No Way Home and Vincent D'Onofrio being in Hawkeye, something very, very interesting has happened, Zane.
Oh.
So, apparently, since Disney Plus obviously happened, the Marvel shows on Netflix were phased out. They were no more. And it was very sad, and we're all sad about it. And we've been over it enough times on this show to say how sad we are. However, enough time has passed that Marvel Studios can obviously now use those characters because there was a licensing agreement with Netflix that they couldn't use Daredevil and Kingpin and stuff like that, which is why we didn't see them immediately when the shows ended.
Yeah, I think it was like for 5 years.
Something like that. So anyway, as a result of that, that's now meant that they appear in Hawkeye and No Way Home. As a result of that, it has been more than 3 years since it's I think it was 2 years actually, Zane. No, I don't think it was 5 years. 2 years. But it's been more than 3 years since the season finale of season 3 of Daredevil. And in December, in the week of December, it landed in 8th place on Nielsen's SVOD top 10 list for original programs.
What?
So basically, what happened is when Charlie Cox turned up in Spider-Man and when Kingpin turned up in Hawkeye, everyone were like, "Who the F are these guys?" and went and watched the Daredevil show.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
It is. So the reason why this is noteworthy is it is an unprecedented result for a show that was cancelled years ago. But it makes sense because they're basically revisiting Daredevil or watching it for the first time after these characters have shown up in the MCU. So according to figures shared by Variety, Daredevil garnered a whopping 195 million minutes across its 39 episodes. There doesn't seem to be, this is a nice little note that adds at the end, there doesn't appear to be any sort of increased interest in the other Netflix shows, at least not enough to crack the top 10, though we'd be shocked if some fans hadn't chosen to revisit the likes of Defenders, Punisher, or God forbid, Iron Fist. So, Daredevil just will not stay down. He just keeps coming back, baby. 3 years after he's cancelled, he's broke the top 10 again. But the reason why I thought it was noteworthy is that we can have some speculation now. How quickly do you think that as a result of things like this, and obviously the popularity of the characters, Daredevil as an entity will re-exist in more than just a Matt Murdock role in the MCU, movies or otherwise? Thoughts?
I think it'll be as soon as possible because from a Disney head honcho business mind, that's revenue that they've missed out on because they don't have any sort of Daredevil IPs that could be coming stream revenue straightly into them.
Yeah.
So that's that's crazy.
I know, it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah,
I love
if
it,
only
though.
they had that on Disney Plus, they'd be like,
Would they?
I think they would be.
Is that what Bob Iger's like in the Disney CEO office? He does the Seth Rollins laugh.
I didn't want to name drop him, but yeah, he does. He
sorry.
likes to, he likes to do it at lunch. He likes to
didn't
do
realise.
it with a coffee
Does
break.
he strum his fingers together like Mr. Burns when he does it? So
When
what
he
happens?
breaks a Kit Kat, but the wrong way.
When
That's
when he... oh, why did that make me feel so dirty?
Because you know he'll laugh about it. He'd be
Yeah,
there.
I do. He'll laugh when he makes Nicolas Cage sing "I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts."
National Treasure 3.
Right, they're going after the Fabergé egg that was in the Rock movie that's worth millions. Okay, so sticking with some Marvel news, moving on. Tim Roth. Now, Tim Roth recently caught up with Uproxx, who did an interview with him. The Abomination made a cameo appearance in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. And it's been pretty much confirmed that the Abomination's going to appear in She-Hulk in some way, shape, or form.
Ooh.
So there's a little bit, well, basically, Tim Roth was asked by Uproxx about his unexpected return and what led to that becoming a reality. Now, it's a long quote. Would you like me to read the whole quote, and would you like me to read it in his East London accent?
I mean, I wouldn't ask, but if you're feeling up to it.
Well, honestly, it totally surprised me. I went in to chat with Kevin Feige, and he said, "I've got an idea. Come in." Really? Really? Because the original thing that I did when I did that first Incredible Hulk movie was I did it just for my kids. In a way, it was pre-Iron Man. I was amazed when they came back around and said, "How would you feel about?" And I went, "Yeah, all right. We just shot it, I guess, in the summer last year or whatever. I think they're in the post now doing it, so whenever. Bonus, I got to work with Mark Ruffalo. Awesome, who I love. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say, I can say that, but this extraordinary woman, Tatiana Maslany. Incredible, that woman. So that was a blast. The show's going to be insane."
Wow.
I'd like to take this opportunity to apologize deeply to Tim Roth for my butchering of his accent. But the big news on that is it sounds like the Abomination is going to be quite heavily featured in She-Hulk. Thoughts on that? And are you excited to see big old A-Bomb come back?
Yeah. Let's face it, like, since they kind of gave that teaser in the Shang-Chi trailer, like, everyone's been like, wow, Abomination. Hey, he even looks like comic book accurate Abomination.
Yeah,
Not
he's
that
got the
weird
fins
thing.
and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, why not? This is his redemption arc. Yeah.
Exactly. His big time. Big time back.
Time.
Now, I know you said you wanted other last, but the DC news is pretty big, so I'm going to save that one till last. And I'm going to give you the other news now because it's big, but it's not as big. So, quite big news for quite a tiny actor. Tom Cruise is obviously filming Mission Impossible 7 and 8. Now, the idea was that Mission Impossible 7 was supposed to hit cinemas this year. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, the Hollywood Reporter has confirmed that the movie will now open in 2023 instead of in September this year. After thoughtful consideration, Paramount Pictures and Skydance have decided to postpone the release dates for Mission Impossible 7 and 8 in response to the delays due to the ongoing pandemic. The new release dates will be July 14th, 2023 and June 28th, 2024, respectively. We look forward to providing moviegoers with an unparalleled theatrical experience. Now, I mean, the reason why I bring this up is twofold. Firstly, it's quite sad to see Mission Impossible push back. I really enjoyed Fallout. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
The other reason is Tom Cruise has very famously got quite angry on set before about pandemic breaches. How do you think he reacted to this one, Zane?
I guess he wouldn't have been too happy. Because I think he even said he wanted them to be the first movie like that was made during the pandemic to be out.
Yeah,
Like,
he wanted to save Hollywood. He wanted to save Hollywood just by himself on his tiny little shoulders.
That's
Do
true.
you think he's going to do that, Zane? Do you think he's going to save Hollywood?
I think the only way he'll save Hollywood is if he does that cameo as Iron Man. If the rumors are true.
Yeah, sure. He'll be doing that, just like Ben Affleck will be doing Daredevil. That's definitely going to happen. Well, there you go. Anyway, so yeah, it looks like it's going to be July 14th, 2023, and June 28th, 2024, respectively, for Mission Impossible 7 and 8. So sad news for MI fans, I'm afraid.
Did Top Gun get released?
No, it hasn't been released yet. I think that also got pushed back.
Damn.
I know.
Poor Tom.
Those volleyball fans will be very sad. All right, so the main event news that I've been saving, which we're going to talk about. It's a doubler.
Okay.
So the first bit is not as interesting as the second bit, but the Batman. The Batman is coming out soon, March 4th to be precise. It is just over a month away, Zane. A month away from one of my most excited for movies for the last 10 years. God, it better be good. If this is my Suicide Squad, I'm gonna cry. So Pattinson has been doing the rounds, and he's had an interview with Movie Maker, and so he has expressed quite a lot of regret over in the early days, saying that he was not working out to play Bruce Wayne. And this is the quote. So the quote is, "That really came back to haunt me." I'm not doing the accent this time. That really came back to haunt me. I just always think it's really embarrassing to talk about how you're working out. I think it's like an English thing, unless you're in the most unbelievable shape where people are just genuinely curious, going, "How have you achieved that? Like physical perfection or whatever?" You're playing Batman. You have to work out. I think I was doing the interview when I was in lockdown as well in England, and I was in the lower gear of working out. It's the same thing as saying in an interview when I was like 21 that I didn't wash my hair. It just sticks for 15 years. So Pattinson looks very good in the Batman from what I've seen so far, and I'm very impressed by it. But the real news that I wanted to talk about is the runtime has been released for the Batman. I think you may have seen this already, Zane, possibly. But the runtime for the Batman is coming in at just under 3 hours long.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it like 2 hours 55 exactly?
Yes, it is.
That's crazy.
It's 2 hours 56 actually. 2 hours 56. 176 minutes. I mean, that's a long time to go without a pee break.
It's a lot of Batman as well. That's 3 hours of Batman action.
You know, I won't use my name, but we have this thing called Gent bladder, where it's a touch and go situation whether or not I'm going to make it through a whole movie without needing to go down to the toilet. 3 hours. Good Lord, that's going to challenge me. That's my rogues gallery right there. A 3-hour movie. Thoughts on the length of this movie specifically, Zane? Nothing else. And will you be able to make it through?
Yes, I will be able to survive. Secondly,
you're a marathon man, aren't you? You're like Snyderverse marathon man. So like, of course, 3 hours is nothing to you. You're like 3 hours. Jeez, honestly, it's absolutely nothing. That's like me having a gentle nap.
Well, I mean, I do try to evacuate everything after like placing my. Once I've got my seat, I'll be back in a second. And
wait,
I just
when you say seat,
well, you know, in the theater, like once you get like where you find, yeah.
Good. I was just really concerned you were evacuating in the theater. That would have been the worst situation ever. I would have been quite disgusted by you. I mean,
did you also see the age rating on this as well, by the way? There's a age certificate given.
I did, and I brought it up so that you could tell us right now.
My mind. Yeah, crazy. I had no idea this would be like a PG-13. I thought it would be like from the trailer, be a little bit higher. But
I'm not disappointed. The thing is, right, with Batman, it's not. When you look at like the old Batman, like Batman
Yeah.
89, I mean, that's a 15. And really, there is nothing in that is like as horrific as anything that we've seen in the Suicide Squad, which was a 15 as well. So, you know, we're starting to see that kind of like PG-13 movies can feature some quite graphic stuff without, but because it's set in a fantastical superhero-y surrounding, it actually doesn't get as much of a a rating as you would expect. Like I said to you, you know, the Suicide Squad that came out last year, that had some really serious gore in it, and like that was a 15, and it was like I would have pictured King Shark ripping someone in half to put that up into the 18 bracket, but it didn't.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm not worried about it being a PG-13. I think it's I think it has plenty of things can be scary without needing to show specific stuff. And if if the rumors are true, and it's just a rumor, guys, I don't have any facts on this, but if they are doing the Court of Owls, the Court of Owls are a much more psychological villain than they are outright scares. So there's plenty of opportunities to play mind games and have spooky, scary stuff without it needing to be exposed as like horror slasher violence or anything like that. I don't know. They seem to be like, if it's going to be 3 hours long, that they've clearly got a lot of story to tell in order for that runtime, because that's very meaty for a superhero film. You know, when you think about the fact that that's just under like Infinity War and like, you know, Endgame runtime, like that's just about the same time as that. Like that's a lot of story. So my guess is they seem to be modifying the Long Halloween and then putting in some Court of Owls stuff in it as well. So it looks like they might have mashed those two stories together, and that's great because they're two incredible stories. So I guess we'll just have to see. But I'm not worried about the PG rating. I'm worried about making it through 3 hours without needing to wee.
I watched a video on YouTube, of course, because where else did you research? Yeah. And apparently, I didn't realize this, but apparently to push it into like the next sort of category, like a 15 or an 18, there would have to be some sort of level of nudity to kind of push it beyond it, because there may be reference of narcotics, but there's no drugs in it. There's no hyper violence like a Quentin Tarantino movie.
What you're telling me is Batman needs to bring out the ultimate weapon, Batwang.
Yes, exactly that.
Fantastic. He's going to expose his enemies to Batwang.
Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Well, that's what I wanted to hear. So there you go. You heard it here first. You heard it here first, folks. Batwang is coming. Oh, that's
You just had to push it into that category, didn't you?
This
is no longer a PG podcast because
this podcast is now rated 15. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry. I really didn't mean to do that.
I know.
Okay. That's it for tips and bits. Thanks, guys. I can't believe I did that. Okay,
so
cool.
For this intermission.
I'm a policeman. See my badge?
You should have played that before I said it. You knew where it was going.
There we go.
You knew where Batwang was going. Sorry, Zane.
It's fine.
Oh dear. Zane's just like, I'm just making a note of where to edit this entire thing out.
Glad we don't have any sponsors. Surfshark.
Yeah. Yeah. Manscaped. They'd love that.
They would actually.
Shape your pubes into the bat symbol to match your Batwang with Manscaped. Oh God! Right, what are we doing? We're doing that's the end of tips and bits. We're doing the tier list thing, aren't we? Now let's
doing
do
the tier
stuff.
list.
Yeah,
let's talk about. Oh, actually, one other little bit of Marvel news. Have you seen that they're going to do a Justice League event where the Justice League all die?
Marvel news?
No, like
in
comic book news. I said comic news, didn't I?
No, you said Marvel news. You went in another bit of Marvel news. Justice League. I'm like, the nerds will come at us, Zane. What are you doing?
Because Marvel would love to hear that.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, the Death of the Justice League, isn't it, or something? I can't know what it's called.
Yeah.
Very inventive title. Yeah, I had heard something along those lines. I don't really know much about the story. Who's the big bad?
I don't think much has been revealed. It's been written by Bendis, so it only just got announced. So and 2 covers. There's going to be a variant cover.
Okay.
Yeah, but one of all their coffins and all the heroes attend.
Oh, I did see something like that. Yeah. With all the imagery of the coffins I've seen floating about the ether this week. Yeah, but yeah, I hadn't seen. Yeah, isn't it? But it's not. They're not killing all of them, are they? It's everyone except for one of them is going to survive. I think.
Ooh.
I think it was like it's in April, isn't it? That's the storyline you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not that they're doing so. Yeah, they've. Oh God, I'm trying to remember what this was about. Yeah, they haven't, like you said, they haven't announced much. They just, it's the imagery of all their symbols are on the front of the coffins and they're different coloured, aren't they? Yeah. So yeah, they're murdering basically all of the Justice League apart from one of them. And I mean, when I say murdering, I mean they'll be back, won't they? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
They'll be dead for like 2 issues and then they'll come back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't even know what's the current run of who's the current league? It's sort of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, I'm guessing, and then Green Lantern. Is it which Green Lantern is it? Is it Hal Jordan or John Stewart?
It's John. I'm pretty sure it's John Stewart.
Okay,
you've got Black Adam.
Black Adam's in the Justice League?
Yeah.
Man, I need to read some more of those. I haven't read them in ages. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So wait, is Black Adam a full-on hero now?
They've paid for Rock, so
yeah, but like, what? Why is Black Adam in the Justice League? So that means Shazam is not in the Justice League. Then I'm guessing.
No.
I love that. No,
not him.
Aquaman, he's still in it, isn't he? Aquaman's still in Justice League, right?
Now you're testing me.
It's Tamara Morrison instead. It's his dad. Aquaman's dad.
Back on Tatooine.
Give me tribute. Oh, Tatooine. Oh, that show. I really liked the second episode of Boba Fett. I'm not going to spoil anything for the episode we got coming up, but like, I really liked the second episode. Third one, meh.
Yeah.
Meh.
Here you go. I've got it.
I was, yeah.
What were you
We're waiting with bated breath here. Shall I start doing some music? There's
a better look.
Okay, so that's Vixen on the left.
Yeah.
Wait, that's all the Justice League.
Here we go. This is a better one. Here's the cover. So you've got
Hawkgirl, Black Canary, Green Arrow, Aquaman, Superman, Batman, Black Adam, Vixen, and Wonder Woman.
Naomi.
Oh, is that Naomi? Is it?
Yeah.
That looks like okay. Weird. It looks like Darkseid's the baddie in that. Go back. Sorry, for those of you who can't see, we're looking at some comic covers. So if you check out our YouTube channel, you can see it on there. But basically, all it's revealing, guys who are listening, is it's just your standard lineup of superheroes, and underneath the thing that says Justice League. Go back to that image you were seeing a minute ago. What was that image that you were looking at a minute ago?
I think
no, it wasn't.
It was that one.
It was that one. Look at the background, top right. That's Darkseid, isn't it?
I don't know, because he's got a bit of a horn. You see that horn there?
Batwang. Oh God, that's the old one, isn't it? That's 59, and what is it? 70 something, 75 is the death of the Justice League issue.
Yeah, they like to announce
too
these
much
things.
detail.
ahead, don't they? So yeah, but it's a weird lineup. It is a really
It is a weird lineup. I mean, it's a normal lineup until it gets to Black Adam, and then it's like, what the
Yeah,
Anyway, let's do a tier list.
let's do it.
Let's do a tier list. So we are going to be this week looking at the Phase 1 Marvel of the MCU. So that is starting with Iron Man and moving all the way through to the Avengers. So basically, this is the introduction of, the Avengers. And it is, the advent of modern comic book cinema, really, let's be honest. So it's interesting to note that Iron Man came out the same year as The Dark Knight.
I know, it's weird, isn't it?
And it, I'm not gonna lie, it got totally blown out of the water in terms of kind of coverage, because The Dark Knight, obviously with Heath Ledger's passing, just took over everything when it comes to comic book movies that year. But Iron Man was great. So I mean, should we start with Le Iron?
Yeah.
Peel the Le Onion of Le Iron.
Solid cast, great. I'd say it's a great picking. RDJ main breakout role.
I mean, when people thought about RDJ being cast in this, did anyone really think that it would? I mean, he would become what he is now, even after Dr. Dolittle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, okay, so here's a question for you.
Yeah.
How much morbid, because you brought it up earlier on, how much morbid curiosity wanted you to see Tom Cruise in this instead of him? And if it had been Tom Cruise,
yeah,
do you think we would have the MCU?
Ooh. I mean, Tom Cruise has been the foundation for numerous franchises. Let's not forget.
He has.
That there has been obviously, as you mentioned, the Mission Impossible franchise. There's been the Dark Universe franchise.
Oh God! Why would you bring that up? Yeah, you're right. They're right. There's been the that one with the old franchise with the
God.
Well, what about the ones with the old volleyball shorts? That one, that's good. That's a franchise now, isn't it? The first one in the 80s, the second one in the 2020s. Yeah, or Top Gun. That's that's a franchise now, right?
Yeah.
The thing about Tom Cruise is if and I've got nothing against Tom Cruise movies whatsoever, but if he comes onto a franchise, it becomes a Tom Cruise movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's if he comes into something, he's coming into it to be a Tom Cruise vehicle.
Okay.
So that would have meant Iron Man became a Tom Cruise vehicle instead of being about the character of Tony Stark and Iron Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Plus, when you look back on it now, RDJ's just cool, man. He's just cool. He is a man, he's an actor who has been through a lot of bad stuff in his life, a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah.
And he's come through it and he's come out the other side. He's clearly got a very lovely partner and they're very much in love and they have seemingly an extremely stable relationship. And, he's obviously a man who's been through the darkness and come out the other side and just enjoys his life now. You can clearly see that in this movie. The opening bit in this movie where he's in the Jeep with the guys, with the military guys, and the person throws up the peace symbol. He's like, "No gang symbols, please." It's just so cool. It's so great. And he's like, "I love peace. If it wasn't for peace, if we had peace, I'd be out of business." And it's it's just great. You immediately get an idea of exactly what Tony Stark is like and who he is as a person at that point in time, which is an a-hole. And an arrogant a-hole at that. Pepper Potts, thoughts on Gwyneth Paltrow's casting in this one?
I really like Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts. I couldn't imagine anyone else really being cast in that role. Just because with Gwyneth's acting, she's always charming. Like,
Yeah.
you always instantly connect with her characters and stuff. Even if that is from Shallow Hal to The Holiday to whatever else. So yeah.
She may sell candles that smell like vaginas, but she's got it down as far as the acting is concerned. The only thing that I would think is a kind of where this film kind of wanes a little bit is the baddie. Obadiah Stane. I mean, he's fine. He's Jeff Bridges is great regardless. Like he's really good, and he's really good as Obadiah Stane. But the Ironmonger as a baddie, it is that we'll talk about it later on in Iron Man 2 as well. But it does become a slight trope of like, oh, he's facing a robot of the week kind of thing, and it makes sense that he was the one who betrayed him. Yeah, but it's also, I don't know, I there is something to be said about random acts of violence causing heroes to be born, as opposed to machinations of villains, making that happen. But in this instance, I think it's okay. But it was obviously a film that was kind of like a little bit all over the place. Like Favreau's direction was very, very fluid in terms of kind of like they didn't necessarily stick to a script or have a script in the first place necessarily. It was more just here's the framework, just wing it. And it works. It does work in this film. It really does. The other thing we should probably mention is Rhodey.
Yes. Is it Terrence Howard?
It is Terrence Howard. Yeah. I would say that he... oh, God, we're going to get comments on this. We're going to get so many comments on this, what I'm about to say. Oh. Speaking personally, I think he was very weak as Rhodey in this film. And when you look at what... oh, my God, what's his name? Don Cheadle. Don Cheadle, thank you. When you look at what Don Cheadle's done with the character since, I think that Rhodey is probably one of the weakest parts of the first Iron Man film. And I'm actually, I don't do it very often, but I will actually side with Marvel on this to say I don't think it was a bad thing recasting him. Because when you look at the movie on the whole, in terms of the performances and the people who are in it, he brings the least to it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think though. He has like 3 scenes in that movie as well.
He's got a lot more than that. He's featured really heavily in the first one. Yeah, yeah. Because he's the one. He's the one who's doing. He's the military advisor, isn't he? So at that point in time, so he's the one. He has to try and stop. There's quite a few. There's the beginning bit where they're at the party with him together with Tony, where he has to accept the ward on his behalf.
Yes.
There's that bit. There's the bit where he's gone to his the flight. He's gone to his house.
Drunk. Yeah.
Yes. Wait, where they get drunk? Is that not the second one?
No, they fly to for the demo of Jericho.
Oh yes.
He's like, every day I put on this suit.
Yes. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, there's that bit. I thought you meant the first time Iron Man flies and Rhodey has to convince the military not to shoot him out of the sky. I thought that was the bit you were talking
about that scene. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly. Though that's the point. It's like, how forgettable is this? There's also, the thing that I remember most about that is the whole setup for the next one, which is when he sees the Mark II armor and he looks at it and goes, "Next time, baby." And it's like, yeah, okay, cool, nice War Machine. Yeah. As far as like overall on this film, I really like this film. I really enjoy it. Yeah. It's a fun romp, and it's it's comic book movies doing what comic book movies did at the time a little bit, but it's also a kind of reinvention of what we know, using a really B-list character. Because for those of you who don't know, this whole if you notice about this, right, it's weird to look at this now, because now these characters are all A-list tier characters in comic books. At the time, this was the B and C squad in Marvel. Like, these guys were not popular characters in the comic books, really. They were effectively what Marvel had left, because they had to sell all of their franchise rights to films and somewhat television to other studios in order to prevent them from going out of business, which is why Sony owns Spider-Man, and it's why Fox owned several properties up until very recently, when the Disney machine became so large and consumed all of them. So this was all Marvel had left, and Marvel wanted to make a stake into the cinema world. So this is what they had to play with. Iron Man is either a B or an A. I don't think it's as low as a C, and it's definitely not as high as an S.
Yeah,
it's either a B or an A. I'm happy to get feedback from you in terms of that one, though, Zany boy.
See, what it does well at, it does really well, and became the blueprint in a lot of ways for the upcoming Marvel movies. Looking back on it, I would say it's really a kids movie in a lot of ways as well. Like, I wouldn't say it's over. Go on.
No, the other thing we didn't cover, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a kid movie, because the other thing we didn't cover was his origin, like the actual origin of Iron Man, which is done really, really well. That whole cave sequence with the doctor who I forget the name of. I'm sorry, I've completely forgotten the name of the guy who's in the cave.
It's not Sid, is it?
Jensen.
I
think it's I think it's Jensen. I think it is. I'm not sure. But anyway, regardless, that whole thing is great. And the fact that they put the 10 rings in there as well. And then we're revisiting the 10 rings like this last year in Shang-Chi was great. That whole setup. I wouldn't say that was necessarily for kids, but I don't know. There's a sex scene in this as well, which is one of the only sex scenes in a Marvel movie.
It suggests it, isn't it? Like, it cuts.
It's a romp on a bed. It gets into quite a romp on a bed with Leslie Bibb. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Floor, and then it cuts to the next day when only one person's in the bed.
Listen, I'm going to give an insight into my love life, right? I've never, I mean, it may just be that I'm dull, but like, I've never been so like overjoyed with stuff that I've fallen on the floor off of the bed. Like, that's not an easy thing to do. Like, that takes effort to fall off a bed. You know what I mean? Zane, you know what I mean? Zane.
I hear what you're saying. It's just
right, hasn't it? I'm sorry, I don't know where this has all come from. It's Batwang. It's bringing it out of me.
It's just the movie trope, isn't it? Like, to suggest it's one of it cut to a storm, and you know what's going on.
I guess. Yeah, that's true. Like the Truman Show when it shows up the window.
Or you see a bare back, like, oh. Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah. Let's move on. B or an A? Pick one.
It's an A.
Okay. I don't think you realise what you said there. Anyway, okay, moving on. Incredible Hulk. This was it the next year? It was like 2009 or 2010.
I got a feeling it's 2009.
I think it's 2009. So famously, not Mark Ruffalo as Incredible Hulk. We've got Eddie Norton in his only MCU performance as Dr. Bruce Banner as the Incredible Hulk.
Fact check. This came out the same year.
Oh, did it? Did it really? Wow, that's crazy. Oh, that's wild. I didn't realize that. So anyway, so you've got Edward Norton as Bruce Banner. You've got Liv Tyler as his love interest, who I know her name is Ross. Betty Ross. And then you've got Tim Roth, who we talked about earlier on, as the Abomination, or what would eventually become the Abomination. So I'm going to be honest with you. This is one of the MCU movies, and I think this falls trope of a lot of the Phase 1 movies, that there's some really big moments in this, but overall, I don't really remember much of this movie. So I remember there being a bit where Stan Lee drinks some dodgy liquid.
Yes. Because Eddie Norton has bled all over a bottle factory in Brazil. Yeah.
I remember there being a bit where he fights at a university. I remember there being a bit where he fights in Harlem and he breaks Harlem.
Yeah.
that's about all I can remember of this film, really. And I remember the post-credit scene. Oh my god, we didn't even talk about the post-credit scene in Iron Man. Talk about setting the stage. We should set the stage for that. Obviously, Iron Man introduced the first ever post-credit scene in MCU movies, obviously, because it was the first. I'm not going to say ever, because there were post-credit scenes, just different before. But yeah, Nick Fury. I almost said Nick Stark then. Nick Stark, that guy. He introduces Nick Fury. And Fury talks about the Avengers Initiative. So Marvel had set the stage for what they wanted to do, and then we were going to see it over the next few years. And then the next result of that was the Incredible Hulk. Yeah. So, Zane, what are your thoughts on this film? Because I'm struggling, to be honest with you, to think about good things to talk about with the Incredible Hulk.
I remember being really excited to see this movie, mainly because a good friend of mine was a massive Hulk fan. Like, in preparation to see this, he had bought like the DVD collection of the TV series.
Oh god.
Yeah, and like watched it beforehand.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
To this day, he still swears by them. And I mean, to be fair, like, there are some good stuff in there.
Greatest interpretation of Thor on screen ever.
the woes of David Banner.
Yeah. It's not even Bruce. Go on, sorry. Yeah.
But yeah, it's with this movie. It was. I guess we had a Hulk movie before, which was wildly different.
Yeah. Ang Lee's Hulk was kind of out there. But it was a very emotional Hulk, wasn't it? Ang Lee's Hulk.
And it took 5 years. 5 years to make as well.
To watch. I mean, yeah, to make. Yeah, you're right. It took 5 years. Yeah, it just felt long, Ang Lee's Hulk to me. I was just like, oh, really? Like, okay, cool. When's Hulk gonna smash stuff?
Yeah.
The thing is, right, when you've got a Hulk movie, yes, there is a certain element of the duality of the persona and how Hulk is the dark side of him, or can potentially be the dark side of him, and how does he deal with this when he has no control over his actions and stuff like that. But a lot of people just want to see Hulk kick the living S out of things. Like, that's what they want. When I go
the most expensive bit.
I will say that I remember when I was a huge Hulk fan as well, not quite as to the level of watching the entirety of the Incredible Hulk, the old Lou Ferrigno's Incredible Hulk. But I loved, like, this was, I don't know whether it's the same year or whether it was the year after Planet Hulk and World War Hulk had just happened. And I was a mega Hulk fan because of those books. There's nothing quite like seeing the Hulk beat the hell out of every single MCU hero, every single Marvel hero in the comics, like page after page, just seeing him absolutely annihilate them until they have to get a sentry and a space laser to stop him, So I loved the Hulk. And I think going into this, I was expecting more in terms of kind of action. And I think I'm always expecting more, but I think they always focus slightly more on character than they do action, which is not a huge problem necessarily. I'm not. There's two reasons why they haven't done another one since. Firstly, it's quite a hard character to interpret on screen and keep interesting on screen. Without it becoming, this like Transformers CGI fest kind of situation. But also, obviously, Paramount technically hold the solo rights to the Hulk. So Marvel can't distribute it without Paramount's permission, which is why Hulk turns up in loads of other franchises now. He's not really a solo outing guy. Thoughts on Edward Norton as the Hulk? Or as, the Hulk and with his floppy hair?
Yeah, I mean, he was believable as the whole sort of scientist and things of that nature. It just dawned on me, it doesn't do the trope of doing the complete sort of origin, like from start to finish. Like, it's already happened, and we get told what happened in the flashback, which I thought, oh, that's quite decent looking back on it.
Yeah, I liked that. I liked that they didn't do the origin of the whole. Like, the thing is, right, it's the same with Spider-Man Homecoming, which we'll talk about one day on this tier list. But like, you don't need to do it. Like, everyone knows how Spider-Man got his powers. Everyone knows how the Hulk got his powers. He got hit with a blast. That's like, I mean, it's as simple as that. You don't need to go into all the depth about how. What kind of a bomb was it? Oh, it's a gamma bomb. Oh, what kind of radiation is that? Oh, it produces gamma radiation, doesn't you say? Oh, and how do we make gamma radiation? Well, let's have a look at that now. You don't need that. You don't need any of that. No. Oh, it's a. Although I would be very interested to see them try and recreate and have like his friend Rick be unaffected by it because he's hiding in a ditch.
Because that's how radiation works.
Yeah, exactly. I've been hit by the full force of an atomic bomb, but my friend, he's hiding in a ditch.
It's funny you should say that. I watched The Wolverine, and that's what Logan does when he's... No.
What, in World War II, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, when he's on Hiroshima?
Yeah. Covers the guy, and he's just shirtless.
Oh, yeah, he does. You're right. I forgot. Yeah, but doesn't that guy die? I thought that guy died.
Well, of old age.
Well, how long was he lying on him for?
That's the whole point. That's the whole plot of the movie. He gets him to come to Japan because he's dying of old age, and he wants Logan's healing factor. Yeah.
Sorry.
Some would say that was his bareback holding back.
Oh God!
The
No,
blast.
it's a callback, guys. It's a callback to it. Yeah, it just made me think of that. Like, for some reason, whenever I think of like the Hulk and the origin of the Hulk, I think back to the the Simpsons episode where they cover Radioactive Man and how he became Radioactive Man. A nuclear blast, my body absorbing radiation. I'm becoming radioactive. From this day forth, I shall be known as Radioactive Man. And then Martin's just going, I would have thought being hit by an atomic blast would have killed him. Basically the same as this.
Yeah. I keep thinking of when they do the movie and Bart's like, watch out, Radioactive Man.
All right. So, as far as like Liv Tyler is kind of forgettable as Betty Ross, to be honest with you. Like, we've never seen her back since, and she does an okay performance, but it's not.
Yeah.
I actually, ironically enough, I keep thinking of Paul Bettany's wife, Jennifer Connelly, as from the Ang Lee version of it as Betty Ross. The one thing we do get out of this is Thaddeus Ross.
Yes.
The actor's name I forget, unfortunately. He does come back later on. Excellent performance by him in this. I will say he's a very believable, stubborn jarhead. The fight sequences are good when they happen. The university fight is excellent. I do like that a lot, especially when he rips the Humvee in half to like stop the sonic generators blasting him. That's great.
Yeah.
Tim Roth in this is really good, very creepy as like this like Marine who will do anything to get to the top kind of thing, even infecting his own body. We got a tease of the leader in this that never produces itself, unfortunately. Looking back now, I would have loved to have seen the leader in a follow-up film. That would have been great.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe one day. They seem to be revisiting a lot of stuff from Phase 1 with, the TV shows and stuff. So possibly we'll see it. And the fight in Harlem is fine, but I don't really remember much about it. I just remember a couple of times when they hit each other, and then that's kind of like, I think he chokes him with a chain in the end, and that's how he wins. That's about it. It's either a B or a C.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. The only thing I really liked about this is it's a callback to the TV show because my mate told me about it. But when he jumps out of the helicopter and he tries to scare himself into becoming the Hulk.
Oh yeah, doesn't he just like hit into the ground?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because he calls back to it in Thor Ragnarok, doesn't he?
Yeah. Apparently it happens in the TV show, but
right.
But apparently he doesn't transform. He just
dies. Wait, is that the end of the Incredible Hulk? He gets thrown out of a plane.
Yeah.
What? That's the end of the Incredible Hulk.
Out of a chopper. Yeah.
Out of a chopper. What? You Tim Roth?
Chopper. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I would say it's I'd say it's a C, to be honest with you. If I'm being brutally honest, I think it's a C. I will say this: it did also give us, just behind the scenes, it also gave us what would become more of a trope as well for Marvel, which is Edward Norton wanting to creatively change certain things, and Marvel going, no, 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 you can't change nothing. This is it. This is what you get. You do the lines, you say the script, we've written it. Thank you, bye-bye. I'm thinking of things like Edgar Wright's involvement in Ant-Man and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, future down the line. Marvel have a habit of saying, nope, sorry. It's not just that. Obviously, what's his name from Doctor Strange? The director of Doctor Strange left for the second one because they wanted to take it in a different direction. So, yeah, it's a shame by that. I don't know. It's an interesting thing because sometimes I think that like DC have too much creative independence to do wild, crazy stuff, and they don't have that singular vision for where the story goes.
Yeah.
But then on the flip of that, I also think that Marvel sometimes do that too much, and they don't have those crazy out there visions. So I don't know.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Much for muchness.
But
so
we got our second post credit scene though.
Yes, we did. We did. Not much to write home about this one. It was what was it? It was Iron Man and Thaddeus Ross talking to each other
in a bar, yeah. And you're like, wait a minute, that's the guy from the movie I saw back in May. What's he doing in this movie I'm seeing in June?
That's exactly it. I think your ordering is mixed up on this, by the way, because Thor, I think, is next. Or Iron Man 2 is next, and then Thor, and then Captain America. Because I think Captain America's just before the Avengers.
It is indeed.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, they were clearly setting up for like Hulkbuster and stuff like that, which was later on. But I mean, we didn't see that until Age of Ultron, which we will cover later in another tier list. So we return to lovely Mr. Stark for his second outing. Oh, Iron Man 2. What the hell happened to Iron Man 2, Zane?
I don't know what you're talking about. It's a fantastic movie.
Okay. All right, good. Well, clearly I'm going to have to do the digging on this one. So, good things about Iron Man 2. Black Widow is introduced. We get Scarlett Johansson on screen for the first ever time. And she's got absolutely rocking hair. She looks great. Her hair looks fabulous. It's on point. We get Don Cheadle becoming old Rhodey Rhodes, Cheeky Road. He's running down that cheeky road. We get him. He's very good. He's very, very good and continues to be good to this day. Pepper Potts is back. Gwyneth Paltrow is back as Pepper Potts. And obviously the main man, Mr. Stark, is back. Favreau is also directing this, and he's also in it as well. We didn't mention him in the first one, but he's Happy Hogan, obviously, in the first one. Again, they're all really, like you said, in that they're all really good performances. They're all solid. In addition to these, we get 2 new villains in this one.
Oh, yes.
So we get sub-baddie Justin Hammer, as played by Sam Rockwell. Now, this film, right? Well, no, actually, I'll say the other villain first, and then we get Whiplash, played by Mickey Rourke. Now, let's get into some of the details of this film, Zane. So, what makes this film worth watching? Go on, you go
Am I
first.
listening to you?
I'll let you go first. There's 2 things. I've got 2 things in mind. So you go first.
So I would say everyone's performance in this is amped up, knowing how well they performed and everything based on the first one. So RDJ is more RDJ than ever in this.
Yes.
We get new suits. So we get the briefcase suit.
Okay, that is one of my reasons. Briefcase suit is one of my reasons in this, because that is absolutely badass. And I'm so sad they haven't used it since.
Yeah.
But God, that whole mechanism for putting it together is fantastic. Like, I remember seeing that in the first trailer they did for it, and I was like, I nearly exploded out of my chair with how awesome that briefcase armor was. It's just so well done. And the animation as it's sweeping over his body just looks so good before it clasps down in front of his face.
I love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that was one of my reasons as well. You carry on, buddy.
RDJ's hilarious, you know, again, because they have that whole comedy act between the three of them in this. Sam Rockwell is a gem in this. Like, even though he's a villain, you can't help but laugh at him because he's the sub-villain, so it means he's going to be a bit dumb. You know, everything's going to be his fault.
So Sam Rockwell was my second reason for watching this film, not for the same reason that you did, but because of it, we get on film in picture the Sam Rockwell dance as he comes out on stage at the Stark Expo. It is one of the most incredible dances. You would think that his legs are, it's like Chandler says in Friends, like about Michael Flatley, you would think his legs are not attached to his body. It is incredible. They flail as if not attached to his body.
I have to admit, it's the one thing
dance.
I remember from the old Charlie's Angels movie.
What, his dance?
Yeah, he does a whole dance sequence in that as well.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm glad it was immortalized in the MCU. Thoughts on Mickey Rourke in this?
I didn't mind it. I thought I kind of he hammed up the role, but I liked it. You know, the whole sort of sharks in the water speech, him screaming and drinking vodka.
Very nasty way to die.
Yeah. I kind of I didn't mind it. Him being obsessed with parrots.
Birds,
my bird.
Yeah. I felt like he was very one note, this film. I mean, this is welcome to what we're going to see from most of the villains in Phase 1 and 2. The villains are very one note. It's very much a, you've done bad thing to me, I do bad thing for you. There, this is that. Revenge.
So angry.
Yeah, so angry. No, nothing can stop me from being angry but my bird. Yes. The fight sequence with Whiplash on the racetrack is great. When he has the Iron Man, when he has the suitcase armor, that's fantastic. Tell me this: what happened in the fight at the end of this film?
Yeah, that.
So I could tell you what happens. I remember it, but my God, I almost swore it's a very weak fight. Basically, Whiplash, Tony gives him the advice of how to amplify the reactor armor, like the reactor power, so that he can basically make another Iron Man suit with whips. And he does, and he attacks Tony. He also attacks War Machine, who has been newly birthed after Rhodey basically breaks into the Stark compound and nicks his armor, which you would think Tony would have some fail-safe speed built in to stop him from doing that, but apparently not. So, anyway, the finale is that he's got them both whiplashed, and he's going to kill them. And the only way that they can stop being whiplashed is by using the power of their repulsors together to cross the streams and create an ultimate beam of magic. It just causes a big explosion, and then they're seemingly fine, but apparently Whiplash is dead.
Because he was in the center of the explosion, wasn't he?
Yeah, because they always say that the eye of the storm is the worst place to be. Anyway,
I felt like it was a very anime sort of finish as well. Because
it was
like, I mean, the backdrop was like a whole sort of Sakura garden, wasn't it? Like a whole sort of like,
it was like one of the pods at the Stark episode, wasn't it? It was like this like Japanese inspired garden. Yeah.
But yeah, it felt very sort of anime. Two mechs shooting at each other.
Again, it was, it's the trope of Iron Man. It's like, who's his villains? A guy who's named after an orange, and iron people who are in robot suits. I have to say, I was really disappointed that he didn't turn out to be Crimson Dynamo. That's probably, apart from Mandarin, that is easily Iron Man's most recognizable villain. apart from the Mandarin, is the Crimson Dynamo. And we've never seen him in the MCU. And it just felt like such a perfect setup to modify this villain. You've had Whiplash, and like, okay, yeah, he's Whiplash, and like he's done this hokey kind of Whiplash armor, and that's fine. But then the upgraded version is he becomes like, because his father, like the whole backstory is his father's like this inventive genius who worked with Howard Stark and betrayed him, and Howard Stark betrayed him, and that's what led to, you know, Ivan Vanko's hatred for Tony Stark. It would have been great if he'd had that genius ingenuity like Tony had to create the Crimson Dynamo out of you know, the ashes of Whiplash and stuff. That would have been great, but you know, it's a missed opportunity many years later. And unfortunately, it seems like they missed opportunity with Mickey Rourke, because he hated this experience, did he not?
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, he like there's several interviews where he's basically said I remember one of them, I think it was Jonathan Ross actually, in the UK. He was interviewed and Jonathan Ross said, "You don't like comic book movies, do you?" And he specifically said, "No, I don't like Marvel comic book movies. I like DC, but I don't like Marvel." And I think he followed up and said, "Did you not have a good experience when you did Iron Man?" And he was like, "They didn't use any of my stuff. They used nothing. But I was barely in the movie." It's basically like Jared Leto syndrome. He filmed apparently loads and loads of stuff, and there's loads of backstory for the character and loads of in-depth stuff. And he read up on the comics and was super into it. And again, with Marvel and their creative direction, they decided not to use almost any of it. And he was very peeved, very, very peeved. So you will not see Mickey Rourke ever again in Marvel, because he does not want to ever go back. But you might see him in a DC movie just out of spite. Because of course he's what's his face in Sin City, isn't he? Marv, he's Marv in Sin City as well.
Yeah, he is actually. Yeah.
That's the thing that basically remade his career, is being Marv. But yeah, he's a tough guy, man. Like former boxer and everything. So like,
yeah. He, I remember him saying, like, doing research for this, like he really got into the whole sort of Russian. I'm trying to think of what they're called, the sort of Russian gangsters. Vodka. So that's where he came up with all the ideas of like the tattoos and stuff, because the tattoos are supposed to represent the story and everything else. But of course, you wouldn't know that from a Disney movie about mechs.
It's an interesting introduction of Black Widow in this as kind of like an assistant to Tony Stark, but then we obviously find out later on she's placed there by Nick Fury. By Nick Fury. This is also where we get that famous scene where obviously Nick Fury says that Iron Man is qualified for the Avengers, but Tony Stark isn't. And we get the first kind of scenes. So famously in the background, it's the famous scene where Tony Stark's lazing in the donut. That LA donut place. We also get a map of the world, and it was the first time that we'd seen a pinpoint to Wakanda on that map as well. So it's our first pointing to that. Loads of little bits and pieces. This was when they really went overdrive on the Easter eggs. The other thing we haven't talked about that we should really talk about in this instance, when it comes to S.H.I.E.L.D., is that they were establishing S.H.I.E.L.D. as a big time entity within the MCU, and Coulson's in this. Phil Coulson is he's in Iron Man 1. He's right at the beginning of it. We have to mention him because he's the one who pretty much is the Wong of his time.
Links it all together.
He does. Yeah. So he obviously shows up in this. I think in this one it's when Tony is the other plot of this film, because they needed more stuff going on. Tony's arc reactor that is installed in his chest to stop him from dying from the grenade blast in the first one, which the shrapnel is traveling extremely slowly towards his heart. I don't know. I never understood that. I never understood why they couldn't just take it out. Anyway, moving on. The arc reactor he's got in there to stop that is poisoning him, because the palladium that he is using is highly toxic. So Tony, with the help of his dad from beyond the grave, invents a new element.
Yes, using the layout of the expo and the park.
Yes, although I'm not sure why his dad didn't just make the element for him, as he'd already given him the formula.
Well, he said like he was held back by his time, wasn't he? The
Of course
technology
he did. Yes, of course he did.
wasn't
The technology was
enough.
time. That's it. Yes, you're right. And who would have thought that all you needed was a laser and a bunch of like half-propped books and a Captain America half-made shield to make it? So yeah. So anyway, we get. Do they ever name what that element is? I can't remember what they call it. Ultinium.
No. Well, I remember him saying it tastes like coconut.
Play it.
Play it.
Oh my god! That is, if you overplay Nick Cage over Nick Cage, it becomes demonic. I apologize, guys. That was terrifying. Jesus.
Wild.
It's a C. The Iron Man 2. I'm sorry. It's not good enough to be up there. It's just not great. It's fine.
I think it's better than the Hulk. I'd rather watch this than the Hulk, I think.
Both of them are on the same level for me personally, but I mean, it's technically you're the lead on the show, Zane. So if you want to put it as a B, you put it as a B.
I'll put it. Here's my justification.
Yeah, patronising I was with that. See how patronising I was, listeners. If you want to do that, Zane, it's your show.
I feel like the MCU as a whole kicked off from Iron Man 2. Like from here, everything else starts to come together. Like then you go into Thor, then you get Captain America. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels like the other two felt like an experiment, but this one feels like, okay, now we know where we're going and what we're doing.
How ironic, considering the script of that film, they had no idea what they were doing. Yeah, I guess so. I guess I'll, it is what it is. I won't argue with it. Thor, the Mighty Thor, directed by Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Thor, Zane? I've done a lot of talking tonight. You talk.
I liked
it.
surprisingly charmed by this movie. Because dare I say, like Thor is a tricky sort of property to kind of handle, and especially to kind of get across in a movie where you're like, so those Norse mythology and stuff like that. Yeah, it's kind of real in this comic book universe, in a weird spacey way. But we're going to run with it. Let's run with it. So they go full in on this. So they do kind of play up to the sort of tropes. Everyone's got Queen's English to a degree. Thor's eyebrows are dyed blonde.
Yeah, Thor's eyebrows. The eyebrows are a problem in this one, but apart from that, let's just take a minute to recognize this cast listing. Because sweet Jesus, this cast listing is incredible.
Yeah.
So obviously you've got Chris Hemsworth as Thor. I don't think alive today, I don't think there's any greater representation of what a comic book character looks like than Chris Hemsworth as Thor. He is literally Thor. Anthony Hopkins as Odin. Like that was a get.
That was crazy. That was crazy. Like
you've got Natalie Portman as Jane Foster. You've already got two Oscar winners there. You've got Natalie Portman and you've got Anthony Hopkins. Tom Hiddleston as Loki. We'll come back to that. Stellan Skarsgård as Eric Selvig. Amazing. Like he's incredible. Idris Elba as Heimdall. Ray Stevenson as Volstagg. Rene Russo as Frigga. Like you've got some really, really huge names here, like huge names. I'm assuming they were attracted in because of Kenneth Branagh. Going back to what I was just talking about, Tom Hiddleston as Loki. We covered Loki last year on the podcast. He is easily the most enduring villain in the MCU, probably with the exception of Thanos, maybe. Unbelievable casting. Like Tom Hiddleston, considering he auditioned to be Thor in this, and there's audition footage out there of him trying to be Thor. It's very funny, guys. Just go and watch it. He puts his all into it, But God, he was born to be Loki, man. He's so good as Loki. he's such a sniveling little, you know, and he's incredible. And it's a testament to Kenneth Branagh's casting that Hemsworth is still Thor.
Yeah.
Tom Hiddleston is still Loki. Even after dying, he's still Loki. And they're amazing. Like, this film's really fun. It's really, really fun. It's really, really sweet. I really enjoy this film a lot. Like you said, it's not a reinvention of the wheel. Like, it's not going to change anything in the long run. It does do a couple of really big deal things, though. First of all, Agent Coulson threading the needle again and bringing us Hawkeye, because at the end of Iron Man 2, it's revealed that Thor's hammer has landed in the
New Mexico.
In New Mexico, thank you. In the desert in New Mexico. And obviously S.H.I.E.L.D. have set up camp around it. And Hawkeye is guarding the hammer of Thor. So Jeremy Renner's introduction as Hawkeye is completely blink and you'll miss it.
Yeah.
Which I think is completely ironic, considering, like, again, it's another unbelievably endearing character that is still going today.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I mentioned this in the Hawkeye show like review that we did. Marvel have a big problem now because their casting was so good in Phase 1. I mean, the casting is incredible, with the exception of Edward Norton. Their casting is incredible, and like all of the people that we've talked about in the Iron Man movies and now in Thor, they're all still in some form in the MCU today if they haven't died. Some of them, even if they did. It's great. I mean, this film. So basically, they go into the what do they do? Thor loses it. He gets overconfident and he loses his power. That's basically what it is. And then Loki takes advantage because Loki always wants the throne of Asgard in the early days. And Thor learns what it is to become humble and a nice man and in love with Natalie Portman, because how could you not fall in love with Natalie Portman? And then, sorry, speaking personally. And then, and then we get the Destroyer armor at the end. Which was a cool little thing to see, a cool little nod to the comics, because it's kind of it was one of the big stories in the comic books is when Loki takes over the Destroyer armor. The one thing I will say about this film, it does lack quite a lot of action.
Do you think?
Yes, I definitely do think. I can think of two action sequences in this: the Destroyer fight that I've just mentioned, and which also ties into the Asgard, like when Loki lets the Frost Giants in, because it's all part of the same sequence. And the bit at the beginning when they fight all the Frost Giants.
Yeah.
That's it. Can you name me another action sequence? And if you're going to say Hawkeye shooting him in the shoulder, that doesn't count.
But him attacking the base is an action sequence. Like he does fight hand to hand. It's not flashy compared to the first and last, but you know.
All right,
throw his hands.
Yeah. The God of Thunder in a fisticuff fight is a good action sequence for you. Okay, I'll give you that. All right. Let's just go through some of the other stuff we've got here. So Jamie Alexander is Sith. Thoughts on Sith? Lovely Sith.
Yeah, great. I mean, to be fair, the oh god, I can't think of their names now. It's not the Furious Five.
The Warriors 3.
The Warriors 3.
Yes.
And Lady Sith.
Vandral, Hogan, and Volstagg. Volstagg? Volstagg. I can never say his name. Ray Stevenson, that guy.
Yeah, I think they're great in this. It's fun to see them in there. They kind of, I guess in a weird way, this really does play up to the whole idea that, you know, it's Norse mythology and everything else again. Like, you know, a bit like Aquaman did. It went full in on the Aquaman side of things. Like, it didn't shy away from it. And that's really cool with this, but it also makes it really kooky. So the fact, like, they turn up and they're like, "We found you! Thor, you must come back home." Like, do you know what I mean? I'm still to this day hoping that
in Love and Thunder, we all know it's not going to, but I love Ray Stevenson. So Volstagg, Ray Stevenson. So for those of you who don't know, Ray Stevenson is an English actor. He's been in lots of things. He was in one of the Punisher movies. So he was in Punisher Warzone. He's been in loads of stuff, like
Three Musketeers.
Three Musketeers. Yes,
That's
he was in the
Porthos.
Three Musketeers. God, he's in oh my God, loads of stuff. He's in Vikings as well. He's also in Black Sails. He's Blackbeard in Black Sails, and he is incredible in that. Yes, unbelievably good in that. He's also one of the like in one of the seasons of Dexter. He's the serial killer in Dexter, and he's amazing in that as well. In one of the worst seasons of Dexter, but he's the best thing about it. So, but I really wanted them to do once the the multiverse happened. Sorry, I really wanted in. There's a run that's quite famous now, where basically when the Ultimate Universe dies in the comics, the Hammer of Thor from that universe makes its way into the mainstream universe. And Volstagg is the one who gets it, and he becomes the War Thor. And I really wanted them to do that with Thor, Love and Thunder. Like, imagine how good that would be. Like, it would be great if you just see Ray Stevenson rocking up as the War Thor. I thought that would have been awesome, especially as we know that Jane Foster's going to be Thor in this as well. Like, I thought it just would have been so cool. But anyway, they won't do it. They won't do it. Cowards, Marvel. Obviously this film focuses a lot around the dynamic between Loki and Thor and their relationship, which we would see developed over the Dark World and then Ragnarok and beyond. It's that the chemistry between Hemsworth and Hiddleston remains to this day incredible. I love it. I don't think there's anyone who watched Loki and didn't want them to have be reunited at some point. Especially after you meet the Richard E. Grant version of Loki, where he's like, I miss my brother. Like, it's just beautiful. I'll put this as a B. I was going to put it as a B easily before you put Iron Man 2 there, because you've really messed up the system now. I think it's a B. I don't think it's as good as Iron Man, but I think it's really good.
I'll tell you what, let's have a quick fact check. So this is a 7 out of 10 on Internet Movie Database. Let's see what Iron Man 2 is.
Let me put it this way, right? Whatever you put this movie as, Captain America is going to go right next to it. Because Captain America is better than this.
So Iron Man 2 was a 6.9.
Yeah. Because it's not as good.
And Hulk was a 6.6.
That's why I'm saying Iron Man 2 should be a C. Iron Man 2 should not be a B. Okay. I'm not saying we shouldn't be skewed by other people's opinions. I just personally think that that's the way it should work. Because I want basically, I've already know, like, the next one's going to be an A for me personally. I've watched First Avenger again recently. So if you feel like Thor from a personal standpoint deserves to be an A, put it as an A. That's fine. I personally think it deserves to be a B because it doesn't. I don't think you get any kind of real highlights of what Thor is capable of. If the Dark World was on here, that would be a C. And then Ragnarok would be an S. You know what I mean? It's like easy to tier that. Like, it's really easy to tier that. It's really good at establishing Thor and it's really good at establishing the relationships. It just doesn't do anything special or new with it. And I'm just kind of like, okay, fine.
But it does a great job at, like you said, the rest of the sort of universe side of things. Like the whole idea that Heimdall stands there. Heimdall? Idris.
Yeah.
Stands there.
East London Elba, isn't it?
Stands there all day watching the universe and stuff. I think
he does not get enough to do though, Idris Elba.
No,
which is one of his main gripes. That's why he was really annoyed by being in the MCU until Ragnarok, because he just didn't get enough to do. Anyway, yeah, Thor's fun. Thor's a fun movie. I just don't think it's like it. I don't think it doesn't stand up as well as the next movie or Iron Man. So the next movie is the First Avenger, Captain America: The First Avenger. I have a big love for films set in World War II, to a certain degree, like Inglourious Basterds, for example. I mean, what is there to say? we kind of all know the origin of Cap. He gets a super soldier serum, and he gets big, hefty, heaving man tits. That's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, exactly that.
There you go. Hey.
And we all love it for it.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing quite like it. Do you know there's a bit in the movie where so when that happens, when that scene happens where he gets transformed from baby Steve Rogers into big muscle man Cap.
Yeah.
There's a bit where Hayley Atwell walks up to him, Peggy Carter walks up and she checks if he's okay. And the first thing she does is just put her hand out as if like about to, and apparently she reveals in an interview that the reason why she did that was because she hadn't seen him without his top off yet. And that was the first time she'd ever seen it. And she just wanted to give his pecs a squeeze. So she went to reach for him and then realized they were filming because she just got hypnotized by his pecs. I like that a lot. I like that story. What is the story of Captain America, the First Avenger?
It's about a man from Brooklyn who's down on his luck and down on a good bod, and he wants to be a good boy for America. And they say, hey, you've got some guts. You jumped on a fake grenade that Tommy Lee Jones threw at you.
That's not what happens. What are you talking? So, yes, it's during World War II when people were consigned into the army and they were asked to volunteer and sign up. And lots of people were worried about going to war. Steve Rogers wanted to fight for his country and do what was right to stop the Nazi threat. But unfortunately, because Steve Rogers had a tiny little body and he wasn't very healthy, he could not go. He could not be sent to war because he was too sickly until a scientist whose name now escapes my mind. Oh,
Played
God.
by the best actor in the world.
Oh, the big bad Tooch.
We, in this household, have a small fixation on Stanley Tucci.
Yeah, the big Tooch, the big bad Tooch. Yeah, he's a legend.
Big Tooch.
The big Tooch. Yeah. Oh God, what was his name?
We watched Transformers.
Erskine.
Just for Stanley.
Abraham Erskine. That was it. Dr. Erskine. Yes. Sorry. Go on. You watch what?
We watched Transformers. I think it's Revenge something. Just for Stanley Tucci.
It'll be Tucci's in Dark Side of the Moon, isn't he?
The third one.
Yeah,
the one where
that's
they
Dark
have
Side
to
of
go
the
to
Moon.
China. Is
Yeah.
it Dark Side of the Moon?
Yeah. Or Dark of the Moon, I think it is. Dark Side of the Moon is the Pink Floyd album. I can't remember. Transformers, generic title 3. There we go. That's what it is.
Something dark.
Something dark side moon. Anyway, going back to Captain America. Yes, he gets conscribed by Erskine to try a special formula. Secret formula that will make him a soldier. It's almost a secret soldier, super soldier formula. Yes. Serums. Yeah, so anyway, he takes the serum and he gets turned into Captain America, and then Nazi spies stop him. Whilst that's happening, the Red Skull, played by Hugo Weaving, of Agent Smith fame, has found the Tesseract, the cosmic cube of power, which at that time we did not know had the Space Stone inside it. We just knew it as the cosmic cube because Red Skull's always obsessed with the cosmic cube in the books. He loves his cuboids. He absolutely adores them. He likes to
Just
hold
like
them
Hugo
in his
Weaving.
hand. Hugo Weaving. That's a little known fact that Hugo Weaving loves unlimited space power in the form of a cosmic cube that he has in his house. That's how he's managed to perfect the way he says the word destroy, because he says it exactly the same in every film he's in. We must destroy Neo. We must destroy the ring. We must destroy Captain America. Thanks, Hugo. Doesn't matter what the accent.
Forgot the Allspark. That's another cosmic square cube.
Destroy the and again, Hugo Weaving's Megatron, so that works.
Yeah,
there's so many links here. The only time that Hugo Weaving was in something where it wasn't a cube was when it was a ring, and that was when he didn't want to hold it. He didn't want to go anywhere near it. He was like, no, keep that ring away from me.
That's the wrong shape. What are you doing?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Even the Matrix is like a grid. I think we're seeing a here we go. Welcome to Undisputed Nerds, where we refer to Hugo Weaving as that square Hugo Weaving.
The obsessed
The
square
cube-obsessed
fanatic.
Hugo Weaving.
Yeah.
Every time now we bring him up, anytime he comes up in a conversation. Famous cube-obsessed actor Hugo Weaving. Anyway, so yes, moving on. What else happens in this film? So, Tommy Lee Jones is generic Colonel number 2, who puts Steve Rogers through boot camp. But fortunately for Steve Rogers, he's got help in boot camp, and he's got help by the lovely Hayley Atwell, who plays Peggy Carter. Again, still playing Peggy Carter to this day, and was just in What If as Peggy Carter. So yeah, the Cosmic Cube has been grabbed by Red Skull, who is using its enormous power to create Nazi ultra weapons through Hydra's right hand. And that's their grand scheme, is basically going to win the war with these Nazi ultra super Cosmic Cube weapons. And Captain America becomes a poster boy for the war, so much so that he starts to sell insurance. Before realizing he's got to do his duty for his country, when his pal Bucky Barnes, played by Sebastian Stan, who still plays Bucky Barnes to this day, goes missing, and he has to go and rescue him. So let's try and kind of break this down a little bit. First of all, Zane, thoughts on Chris Evans as Captain America after his hotshot performance as the Human Torch? See what I did there?
I see what you did there. It's crazy. This casting, I was kind of like, wow. Like, it's someone who's done multiple superhero movies, because not only has he done the Human Torch, but he was in Losers, DC's Losers.
He was.
And
Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, goddamn.
Boyfriend number 2, I think.
Yes.
Or 3. Yeah. 2 or 3. I can't. No, 3 is Brandon Routh. He's 2. Boyfriend number 2.
Yeah, sorry, I just remember that because he's called like Luke something, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a skateboarder.
He
like hits Mac G's grinding the rail.
And all his stuntmen get him coffee. He's like, thanks, stunt guy.
That ridiculous chin beard. I love it. Sorry.
Yeah, it's crazy to think. Like, I think at first people were skeptical of him being Cap, because Cap's always seen as this super patriotic sort of guy, but
he's the king of morality.
Yeah, and Chris Evans was, dare I say, quite young as well. So it was kind of a weird sort of thing to kind of imagine this cocky, because he's always played these cocky roles, hasn't he?
Young playboy, basically, is what he was at that time. Because his personal life as well. He's famously dated some of those beautiful women in the world. And
he's a bit of a Lothario.
He is. I think didn't he date Jessica Biel as well before she married Justin Timberlake and stuff. Yeah, so he's he's had him in. So yeah, I know it did come as a bit of a shock to have him as Captain America, but my God Almighty, did they get that right? Like,
yeah,
I'm go on.
Just the perfect embodiment, really, of like the way he performs, the way he carries the character, and everything else. Because there was so much against it, man. He really knocked it out of the park with it.
The thing about Captain America is it's a character that is very easy to become overshadowed by the cheesiness in nature of how patriotic he is, and he represents America and freedom and all that other kind of stuff. But the core element of Captain America is just the inherent goodness and like righteous kind of justice almost that he feels he has to bring. But he has to do the right thing. It doesn't matter. It's just imprinted on his soul to do the right thing, kind of thing. And you need to have somebody that is both can come across quite easily as like he could probably kick your ass, but also like very earnest and very like like humbly like sincere when he's
Yeah.
delivering lines about what's the right thing to do and what isn't the right thing to do, and Chris Evans is really, really good at doing that, and he's always been really good at doing that. There is a reason why, like 10 plus years of the MCU, Winter Soldier is still my favorite MCU movie. I think No Way Home is very, very, very close to being it. Very, very close. But Winter Soldier was just, it's everything I love about a modern movie, which I know we're not talking about right now, so I'll save that for the Phase 2 thing. But no, he's perfect casting. I think as far as casting is concerned, the only thing that kind of lets this down a little bit is Hugo Weaving. Unfortunately, I think he wasn't great casting as the Red Skull. I think he was just a big name that they attached. And again, it's the problem with the Phase 1 villains. They're just very one note. Apart from Loki. Loki's the only one that isn't, but very one note. And it's very kind of like, I'm going to get this thing and I'm going to destroy everyone because I'm so full of rage.
And get a blue beam in the sky.
Oh, the blue beam of death. And it's just kind of like, I don't know, he just felt very villain of the week. Other notable mentions in this, we've got Toby Jones as Arnim Zola. It has the best introduction of a character ever, which is the first shot you get of him. His face is being like projected through this like weird mirror thing that is like he's looking through at the time, and everyone was just like, because he turns into a robot in the books. That's what he looks like. I love that. We've also got Dominic Cooper as Howard Stark, who is Tony's dad. I think standouts for me in this were obviously Chris Evans, Peggy Carter, Haley Atwell was incredible in this. Sebastian Stan makes a good mark as Bucky. He doesn't really get much to do in this one, I will say. He doesn't really come into his own until the sequel. We get the excuse me. We get Dum Dum Dugan and the squad that I've forgotten what their names are. What's the name of that
the Howl Squad?
The Hellfire. No, the Hell. What is it?
Howling
Commandos. The Howling Commandos.
There
Thank you, Zane. Yes, the Howling Commandos. That's the one. Yes, we get them in this, which is great to see. I'm surprised we haven't seen Dum Dum Dugan come back, because he's famously a member of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the books, and he does come back quite a few times. So I'm surprised that they never got Neil McDonough back, because he's another great actor.
I know they got one of them back to be the headmaster in Spider-Man School.
Did they?
Yeah, it's a mini Easter egg, because he has a photo of his grandfather, who he obviously played as a commando.
Did they?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go and look that up afterwards. I did not know that. That's amazing. Oh, there you go. You didn't hear it here first, guys.
Cool. I was just having a quick look. This also came out the same year as Thor. Thor came out in
2011.
2011. 27th of April here in the UK, and then Captain America came out on the 29th of July in the UK. But also
in the
Dark
US?
Side. In the US?
When did it come out in the US? Because you said UK twice there.
Yeah, Google only tell me UK because I'm based in the UK.
I mean, it's where you place it. Like, the action sequences in this are amazing. Like, they are really good. I love them, especially the fight at the end on the plane is really iconic. And him saying goodbye to Peggy, oh my god, that crushed me.
Yeah.
And then the after credits is obviously Cap waking up in the modern day.
I love the after credits in this.
Yeah, where he's in his hotel room and the hospital bed, and it's all dressed like 1945, but then he slowly realizes it's not 1945 because the baseball game is different. From because he was there. And then he gets introduced to Nick Fury because he runs out into Times Square, and it's all kind of like crazy. What was the Easter egg in Thor? What was the after credit scene in Thor?
I remember.
It's Loki, isn't it? Isn't it Loki still alive, pretending to be Stellan Skarsgård? It is because he's looking at the Tesseract. And it says he says like, "Oh, that's very interesting. Let's have a look." And then it's in a mirror. It's actually Loki.
Oh,
which
yes.
in hindsight doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, because Shield bring him in, don't they?
Yes.
Look at the
I'm
Tesseract.
assuming they retconned Loki out of that to be like it was just Eric Selvig who was looking at the Tesseract. It wasn't actually Loki, unless Loki was just watching him because he knew what was going to happen. I don't know.
Haunting him.
Haunting him. Yes, exactly. Whispering sweet nothings in his ear. Batwang. So Captain America gets an A, please.
Yeah.
All right, this one's easy. It's an S.
Sorry, I just remembered. My parents really love Captain America, and the commentary they always give, which makes me laugh, is when they put, shall we call him Baby Steve, in the chamber.
Yes.
And they give him all the injections. My parents are always like, "But what are they doing to him? He's such a nice boy."
Brilliant.
It always makes me laugh, and then obviously it opens up, and he's like buff, and they're like,
"Oh, man tits." All right.
A travesty of that film. I'm on a tangent now. Travesty of that film. Richard Armitage is in this as like a Nazi spy number one.
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah. What's his face? Kruger. Yeah, he's the one who busts up the laboratory and kills Erskine, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasted.
Yeah, exactly. Wasted.
Yeah. Did he come back as anything? What else did he come back in?
I don't think he's been back.
He's in The Hobbit, isn't he?
Yeah.
What the hell's he been in? Oh, he's in the okay. Just having a look now. He's in the podcast series of Wolverine.
Oh yeah, I think he did some voice acting as Wolverine for their audio books or something.
Yes. They're amazing, by the way. Have you ever listened to them?
No, I haven't.
They are fantastic. The Wolverine ones, I've listened to the Wolverine ones. I haven't listened to any of the ones after that because I know they've done like Old Man Star-Lord and Old Man Logan or whatever. But yeah, Wolverine: The Lost Trail is amazing. Those audiobooks, they are great. If you're into podcasts, guys, and you like story-driven narratives, listen to Wolverine: The Lost Trail. It is incredible. Those audiobooks, they're so well done.
I know it's been successful enough for DC to do their version. Have you seen those?
No, I haven't seen those.
It's been the guy who plays as M'Baku in Black Panther.
Yes. I can't remember his name though.
He's playing as Batman in their audiobooks.
Wow. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's great. He's got a great voice. That's good.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, tangent. Avengers. So it was at that time 4 years in the making. Culmination of the beginning of phase 1 of the MCU. What did you think of it, Zane?
I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I was surprised it was going to happen. Again, I didn't feel like it was going to happen until Iron Man 2. I was like, okay, actually they are building to something. This is tangible now. And then
I don't think they knew that, did they really, until Iron Man 2? I think until Iron Man 2, until Incredible Hulk was successful and then Iron Man 2 was successful, I don't think they really knew. Well, they didn't even know. They just set it up, did they? So, yeah.
I think once, well, again, like Thor and Captain America seemed like safe bets for them at that point. They had to do Avengers me.
Were they? I don't think you can. I honestly don't think you can say that Thor and Captain America were safe bets for them. I really don't. After Iron Man and Hulk was a pre-existing thing that they'd already tested the waters with Ang Lee, and it had not gone well. And so the fact that Incredible Hulk didn't do great, but it did okay. Iron Man doing very well is probably what spurned this whole thing on, to be perfectly blunt. And I don't think they could have counted the success of Thor and Captain America because they were B-list characters, very much so, as far as that's concerned. I often am surprised when I think back at this film, the fact that it is basically a film of 2 parts. There's literally only 2 parts to it. There's the bit where they're on the helicarrier, and there's the bit when they're in New York, and that is it. And this whole film is great. It's fantastic. So let's go into it a little bit. Loki is back.
Loki is back.
they needed a villain big enough to take on the Avengers, and of course, Hiddleton's sexy smarm was the one to do it. So he's back, baby. He's come charged with the mission of capturing the Tesseract because he wants that space power, baby. And how's he come back to get the Tesseract? He's got a big old staff. Oh yeah. And this staff's so big it can affect people's minds, baby. Ooh.
Whoa.
So what does he do? He takes over the mind of an old man who's looking at the Tesseract. Boom. And he gets Hawkeye as well. Yeah, so the whole thing starts where they basically, you get the classic recruitment. Well, I'd say classic. It hadn't been done really before that time. But you get the scene where they recruit all of the Avengers.
Yep.
Excuse me. And bring them all together. Well, I say all the Avengers. It's basically Cap, Iron Man, Black Widow, and who else?
Anna.
Anna?
Banner.
Who's Anna? Oh, Banner.
Banner.
I was like, who's Anna? Who the F is Anna? Yeah, and then I kind of find it weird that Iron Man basically takes out Loki with a punch. But I guess he deliberately wanted to get captured, didn't he? That's the
Yeah.
And then Thor turns up, and then they get to the helicarrier, and there's a nice big long scene with all the superheroes interacting, which we hadn't really properly seen on screen before. So it was all kind of like, we've got Cap mingling with Iron Man. Oh, that's exciting. And then the master plan is revealed that he plans on annoying Banner with his staff and making Hulk come out. And then Hulk does come out. And then all hell breaks loose. And then there's a lovely fight sequence between Thor and Hulk, which I still love. I'm running through it very quickly because it's a lot of big. Basically, this film is all quips and fights. That is essentially what this film is.
Absolutely, yeah.
Once the helicarrier part is over, we get the Battle of New York, which is still referenced to this day in modern MCU. It's the Chitauri invasion, where all the Avengers band together to take out the invading alien hordes. And I think this film, more than anything, was the first film that we actually saw how cool superhero action sequences could properly be. Because, man, some of the stuff in this is incredible. My personal favorite part as far as action's concerned in this film is when Thor travels to the top of the Chrysler building and uses it as a lightning rod and fires just a metric ton of lightning through one of the portals. Everyone loves the Hulk punch where Banner tells everyone he's always angry, but that bit with Thor for me is just, that was the bit with the cinema where I was like, oh yeah, there's always that one bit where like somebody is just kind of like, that is amazing.
I really like the sequence where the camera just follows the action, if you know what I mean. So it goes from like, I think Iron Man's fighting in the air, then it goes to Hawkeye shooting, and then it cuts to like both Thor and Hulk on top of one of the whales.
Inspires Kate Bishop. I think it's that bit, isn't it?
There is the sequence where he falls off, and I think that's supposed to be the inspiration because it has like the halo light sort of thing at moment, isn't it? But yeah, I really like that sequence because any sort of superhero team we've seen before, like X-Men, you've never had that continuous shot before. It's always been like they split off into a group and they tackle them on one by one, sort of thing, even though they're a superhero team.
Absolutely. There's a couple of things that we want to kind of address on first. So we won't go, we're not going to go into the Joss Whedon controversy stuff that's going on at the moment with everything from Justice League and all that kind of stuff. There's enough things out there if you want to read about it, guys. We're not going to comment on it. He directed this one. I will say, whatever you feel about the guy personally, he did do a very good job directing this film. And it is an excellent film. A couple of other bits of noteworthy pieces on this. It's Ruffalo's first time as Hulk. And my God, does he knock it out of the park. And it's one of those situations where it's shocking because Eric Bana obviously was the Hulk in Ang Lee version. We had Edward Norton in Incredible Hulk. I can't picture anyone else as Bruce Banner anymore apart from Mark Ruffalo. He's encapsulated the role so perfectly. And I think it was a big deal, the fact that he was both Hulk and Bruce Banner. Like all the mocap and all the facial animations for Hulk is Mark Ruffalo. Like Hulk is Mark Ruffalo now.
Yeah.
And it worked so well in this, so well. And he's just really earnest and honest and sweet as well. And it's like you do sympathize with the guy for like, especially like the bit when he falls out the sky and then lands in the top of the warehouse and he's not got any pants on and he has to borrow them off the janitor, and then he turns up on that dodgy scooter like in the Battle of New York. It's like, oh, I just want to hug you, you poor man.
It's weird, like how impactful he was in that role without a movie. Like you said, there's been like 2 whole movies beforehand where we've seen other actors, try and, dare I say, fail. And he's had like, dare I say, a minor role, and he absolutely became not like hand in hand with the role now.
Yeah, he's still the Hulk to this day. I mean, everyone in Phase 1 that are still, their characters are still frequent in the MCU. Like, as I've said before, and I will say again, those core 6 of the Avengers that they hired, the casting, I don't think you could have done any better. Looking back on it, I mean, it depends on what kind of Hawkeye you wanted. Like, if you wanted a less military strict Hawkeye and more of a jokey Matt Fraction version of Hawkeye, then yeah, you probably could have got someone other than Jeremy Renner. But for the type of Hawkeye they wanted to portray, he's perfect. Like, he's just great. And it's like I have so much nostalgia for these heroes now, and like after watching this film, obviously the heroes save the day and stop Loki. We get, puny god moment where Hulk smashes the hell out of Loki, which is amazing. We get the introduction of the Mark 6 armor, I think, where he goes back to his old. We get the thing where Tony jumps out into the sky and the armor like attaches onto him whilst he's in the air, which is pretty awesome. So many good sequences. But I mean, I think the thing that sticks with most people after this film is it is the first introduction of the Mad Titan Thanos.
That's very true. Yeah.
Post-credit sequence literally sets up in 2012 the story that would culminate in 2020.
Was it
2019? Yeah. No, 2019. 2019. Sorry, my bad. It's just before the pandemic. It was just before the pandemic, I'm pretty sure. You've gone quiet, Zane.
What are you counting? Infinity War or Endgame?
I was saying Endgame, because Endgame's where Thanos is defeated.
That makes sense, because I think Infinity War 2018.
Yeah, Avengers Endgame is 2019.
Cool. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know what else to say really about the Avengers. It's just a great film, and it's just really fun. Question for you on this one, though, Zane. Do you need to have seen all of Phase 1 in order to have seen the Avengers?
Ooh.
Because this is the thing we often forget when we look back on stuff. So I did a test. So you and I both know that my wife is she's a normie. She doesn't like nerd stuff. Now I thought it would be incredible. So one of my favorite film franchises of all time is The Terminator.
Yeah,
it is. I can still watch it to this day, and it's still I love the first one is incredible, as is T2. I thought it would be amazing because I knew going into T2 that Arnie was the good guy.
Yeah,
and I think for a lot of people in the cinema audience, they were really shocked at the time that Arnie was actually the good guy in that.
Yeah.
So my wife had never seen any of the Terminator franchise. She didn't know anything about it. So I thought, I wonder how shocked she'll be going in after watching the first one, how much of a bar steward Arnie is in the first one. And then it turns out that he's a good guy in the second one. I wonder if she'll be genuinely shocked and stuff. And it turned out that, she preferred the first one, weirdly.
Oh,
but
wow.
That's, I know it's weird, right?
Yeah.
But with this one, with Marvel, this is the thing in hindsight where I'm like, chronologically speaking, do you have to have watched all of these films in order to watch the Avengers? Or can you miss out on an Incredible Hulk? Can you miss out on Iron Man 2? Do you need to really watch these things? And that's I think that definitely changed the conversation when it comes to modern cinema and how it's consumed. Because I don't remember having the conversation beforehand of saying, properly anyway, do I need to have seen these 5 films in order to see this one movie?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like a couple of years ago, I would never have heard anyone say, do I need to see Pirates of the Caribbean 2 to understand?
5, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Like nobody would say, do I need to see like Batman Forever before I see Batman Begins? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, they definitely introduced this chronological ordering of films, and it's an argument to say whether or not you do need to have these or not all together. But I mean, this is the birth of modern comic book cinema. It really is, because this was the template for what every single MCU movie and every single successful comic book franchise wanted to try and mimic since. And you know, nobody's got it as good as Marvel. Like, as far as like, I am willing to admit that creativity is something that is not necessarily as fervent in the MCU as it should be, but also they are sticking to a blueprint that they have worked out in their mind, and that it's working for them.
Again, we've mentioned it earlier on in the podcast, but there's been so many attempts at mimicking this. DCEU, there's been the Dark Universe, there's been
Please stop using that as an example.
But there's been so many that have tried and have failed to mimic the same magic. That's all I was kind of alluded to, is that they built this city and they built it on rock and roll.
Where did that come from?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Yes, you're not wrong. I mean, look at horror franchises and stuff like that. They're trying to do it as well now. They're trying to interlink situations. I guess, you know, it's the same with kind of television and stuff like that. They you know, look at I know it's Marvel again, but the Defenders and stuff like that, they interlink it all together now. Everything has its metaverse. And yeah, it's, you know, it's a fascinating thing. You know, where would we be if Tom Cruise had been Iron Man?
Yeah.
It's an interesting thought to have. Would we still be where we are today? What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Do you think that we would still have the MCU as we know it today? Or would little Thomas Cruise have taken over and wiped the MCU from existence with his personality of delight? I don't know where I was going with that sentence. It's quite late on a Friday night, guys. I'm tired. Give me a break. What did you think of our tier list, guys? Do you agree with our rankings? Do you agree with where we placed things? Avengers being tippity top of the Marvel Phase 1 pile. What are your thoughts? Get in touch. Zane, where can they reach you?
They can reach me on Twitter, Instagram. Trying to think what other platforms.
TikTok,
yeah. Why not? You can find me there. Facebook, yes. Zane _Taicho. Links will be in description. GG, can they find you on any of the socials?
I'm on the gram, Instagram, at Gentlemanly Gamer. I'm also on Twitch sometimes, but kind of phasing it out a little bit. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, also you can get us on the Gmail, nerds.undisputed@gmail.com. Come along and say hello and give us your opinions. We are looking for themes, by the way, guys. So if you fancy creating any themes, especially for the what's all the rage with Nicolas Cage, we're out for it.
Send them in.
Zane, it's been a pleasure. It's been
likewise,
an absolute pleasure, darling. And yeah, I don't know what we're going to do next week.
Me neither. But I know one thing the listeners can do, they can leave us a star rating on their favorite podcast platform. Whoa. And as always, drop a comment, as we love reading those.
And like and subscribe if you're on YouTube.
On the tube.
On the big bad tube. All right, Zane. I will see you next week, darling. Thanks very much, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.